Hey guys, what's up? This is again Gerald, and welcome back. And in today's video, we are going to cover 4 lookup functions that you can use in Microsoft Excel and in Google Sheets. These are the lookup, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and the XLOOKUP. So if you've ever needed to pull data from your data set automatically, like finding a price or a department or a score, this is exactly what you would need. So we'll go from basic to modern, and by the end, you'll know which one to actually use. So let's dive right in. Now let's start with the lookup function. This is the older and simpler version, and it works best when your data is sorted. Now let's take a look at its syntax. Equals lookup, open parenthesis, lookup value. That's going to be what you're searching for, comma, lookup vector. That's going to be where you're going to be searching it, comma, the result vector, which is what you want Excel to return. Here's a sample data set. It's similar to the last one we used. And let's try the lookup function first. So equals, then lookup, open parenthesis, the lookup value, let's say ID 103, comma, the lookup vector, which is the array or the range. So this, in this case, it's cell A2 to A6, comma, and then since we want the department as the return value, let's select C2 to C6 as the result vector. Then close parenthesis. Okay. So employee ID 103, which is Mike, is part of the IT department. And I've added the formula right here for you to take a look. Just an FYI, this only works properly if your data is sorted, and that's why it's rarely used today. Next is the VLOOKUP. This is the most commonly used one. Now let's take a look at its syntax. That would be equals VLOOKUP, open parenthesis, the lookup value. And again, that's going to be the value we are trying to locate or that we are going to find, comma, table array. So that's going to be our table that contains our data, comma, column index num. So that would be the column number that we want Excel to get the value from, comma, the range lookup. So since we want an exact match, we can either type in false or 0. Now let's do it in our sample data set. Okay, so for VLOOKUP, that again is equals and then VLOOKUP, open parenthesis, the lookup value, same thing, ID 103, comma, and then the table array, which is going to be this table, A12, D6, comma, the column index array. So we want the department that employee ID 103 belongs. So that would be the third column, which is column C. So let's type in 3, comma, and since we want an exact match, we can either type in false or 0. I prefer using 0 instead of typing the word false. This one is much faster. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so it came up with the same result. 103 is part of the IT department. Okay, and this time we use the VLOOKUP to do that. All right, now just an FYI for VLOOKUP, it has its limitations. It only works from left to right, and the column numbers can break if your table changes. So let me show that to you real quick. So if I insert a column here, as you noticed, the value changes for VLOOKUP. Although it remains the same for lookup, the lookup function, but for VLOOKUP, it came up with 0. So just take note of that. That's one of its limitations. Let's go ahead and delete this. All right, so immediately after we deleted that extra column, it went back to the correct result. All right, now moving on, the HLOOKUP. It's going to be similar to VLOOKUP, but this time it's horizontal. And the syntax for that would be equals HLOOKUP, open parenthesis, lookup value, which is the value we want to find, comma, the table array, okay, which is the table that we are going to be using, comma. So instead of column index num, it's going to be row index num, because we want the row as our return value, comma, range lookup. So same thing, if we want an exact match, we either type in false or 0. Now let's apply it in our data set. Okay, so since we are going to be doing this in a horizontal way, we'll have to transpose our data set, our table. And to do that, you'll just have to click on any empty cell, then do a right click, and then select paste special, and then look for transpose. That should be the bottom option on this dialog box. Click that and hit on OK. So as you've noticed, it transposed our data, and the column headers are now the row headers. Okay, the data are also transposed. Now let's do the HLOOKUP function. So let's start with the equal sign, and then HLOOKUP, open parenthesis, and we're still going to be looking for the same thing, 103, comma, and then the table array, comma, and we want the third row because we want the department, so we want 3 from the table array, and we want an exact match, so type in 0. I'll hit on enter. All right, there you go. So that's how you do it with HLOOKUP, and this is very rarely being used in real world data work. So it's very seldom that you would encounter this. Now let's move on to the last lookup, the XLOOKUP. This is the modern lookup solution, and let's go ahead and go over its syntax. So that would be equals, and then XLOOKUP, open parenthesis, the lookup value, which is the value we want to find, then comma, the lookup array, which is where we are going to be searching that value from, okay, and then comma, the return array, that would be the column that we want Excel to find, that we want as a return value, and then If not found, this is optional, but if you can create an error handling where it comes up with a message um, if in case it's not able to find the value that we're looking for. Now let's go ahead and apply it. Okay. Let's start again with equals and then XLOOKUP. Okay, open parenthesis. The lookup value, same thing. 103, the lookup array. So this is this column right here, column A, comma, and then the return array, which is this column, column C, because we want the department, then comma. Okay, let's put in NA if it can't find a message as the error message, and then the match type 0. Now hit enter. Okay, there you go. So same thing, it came up with IT as the department. And here's what's good about XLOOKUP. So first off, even if you add or insert any columns, it doesn't change, it doesn't break compared to VLOOKUP. The second benefit that XLOOKUP has is that it works left or right, so it doesn't really matter. Another advantage of it is that it has a built-in exact match, so we may not necessarily need to type in 0 or false for the match type, because by default it selects exact match. And another thing is that it has error handling, just like what we type in NA if it's not able to find the value. Another good thing I find about it is that it's much cleaner compared to the other lookup functions. All right, now let's try it in Google Sheets. So I copied the same data, same data set, and let's perform the same lookup functions and see if we get the same results. Okay, so let's start with the lookup function. Start with the equal sign, then the word lookup, open parenthesis, and let's look for the same thing, 103, comma, and then the lookup vector, next, comma, then we want the department, so that would be, this would be the result vector here, that's column C, close parenthesis, there you go, came up with the same result as with Microsoft Excel. Now let's try the VLOOKUP. So equals and then VLOOKUP, open parenthesis, the value, which is 103, which is in cell A4, and then the table array, A1 to D6, and since we want the department, which is the third column from the left, okay, we type in 3, then comma, and then we want an exact match, so let's type in 0, close parenthesis. All right, came up with the same result as well. Now let's try the HLOOKUP, and like what we did earlier, we'll have to transpose this because we are going to be looking up horizontally. So there's our transposed data. Now let's try the HLOOKUP. Start with the equal sign and then HLOOKUP, then open parenthesis, 103 as the lookup value, and then this table array, A9 to F12, comma, and then we want the department row, which is the third row from ID, so we type in 3, comma, and then we want the exact match, so let's type in 0. All right, same thing. Now let's try the XLOOKUP. So that's equals and then XLOOKUP. And then the value that we are searching. And then the lookup array, which is column A. And then followed by our return array, which is in this case the department column, comma, and the message we want Excel to show up if it's not able to find anything, or if it's not able to find the value. So let's type in NA. And like what was mentioned earlier, it's the XLOOKUP is built in with a default exact match. So we don't need to type in 0 or false anymore. Let's hit enter. All right. So same set of steps, same syntax, even if you use it with Google Sheets. Now let's do a quick recap of these 4 lookup functions. Let's start with the older version, lookup. This one's older and outdated, I would say, but it can still be used sometimes. Next would be VLOOKUP. It's popular, but it has its limitations. Next would be the HLOOKUP. It's rarely being used. And lastly would be the XLOOKUP, which I would say would be the best choice today. So if you're learning Excel now, I would suggest you go straight to XLOOKUP. Also, although it's also advisable to have a bit of a background of the different lookup functions. I hope this helps you understand the lookup functions better. If it did, please don't forget to drop a like, hit that subscribe button. For more Excel and Google Sheets videos, feel free to comment down below. I want to hear from you. Thanks again for watching, and see you in the next one.